Hello folks, hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to take a look at one of the works by a famous horror writer called Saki, and I want to start adding some of Saki's stories to the channel. We're going to be taking a look at Srindi Vashtar, one of Saki's best. I have it here in my collection. It's 4 pages long. In this collection, Saki was a horror writer who died in 1916, wrote a lot of horror short stories. Saki's works tend to be very short and very quick and very to the point, and this one is 4 pages long as well. Saki's actually the kind of a writer born of Scottish parents. His birth name was H. Munro, but the pseudonym of Saki is how most people know him as a writer. He was born over in Asia, has a lot of sort of Asian themes, names, cultures, and so forth in him, but not the normal sort of a pulp style of them, but more of a I've lived there, I have a respect for them, let me tell you how it actually is. And so it's nice to kind of read those and take a look at them. Also, Saki has a very good, strong, and evocative and quick style of writing. He knows how to get you into a horror story very quickly, so that the horror starts coming about very quickly, and then you get to a resolution very quickly too. And then that's it, we end a story. And Saki's works are regularly anthologized in horror anthologies, and I think one of the reasons is because it's a short fiction. You know, if I have a passion project and I want to write, and I want to give you some great horror short stories out there that you may not have heard of as part of a passion project, it's going to be a whole lot easier for me if I've got 4 or 5, longer ones that are 30, 40, 50 pages each, that might be eating up much of the stories of the novel, or the collection's space, then it's going to be easier for me to give you enough stories to give you some shorter stories like Saki in there too. Saki's certainly a qualified writer, but you'll see Saki heavily anthologized. Like most of my horror anthologies that are outside the Cthulhu mythos have at least one Saki story in them. So, and this is another example. The adventures stories thing that I have has a section in it of sort of us against nature, and it has a couple of horror stories in there as a part of that. And Saki's Srindi Vashtar is one of those. So we're going to take a look at this. It was published in 1913, just a few years before the writer born H. Munro, but published as Saki, passed away. By this time, published lots of works. According to the blurb in here, this work is one of the most famous ones and most published by people to this day. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at it and see if it's something that I enjoy. I'm also probably going to give you another Saki work or two here and there too. They're fast, they're easy to do, and I have, like I said, a bunch of them over here. So I'll probably start giving you another couple of horror stories of that Saki's written, so you can kind of get a feel for him as a writer. And in case you've never read anything by him. And of course, everything by Saki is online for free now, so you can go check it out on places like Gutenberg, and I'll link you to this one below. But let's take a look really quickly at Srindi Vashtar. It's not a very long story. Again, it's very short, so my synopsis is not going to be long either, because as soon as I hit the main point of the story, you'll know where you might be able to predict where it's going. So there's this guy who lives in an estate. He's 10 years old. The doctor has come and said he's going to die in 5 years, and his sort of person who's keeping him is one of his cousins, after some of his family been tragically lost, and they have a sort of a cordial, sort of a love-hate relationship that's very passive-aggressive. He feels that she's very passive-aggressive towards him, that she will hide things in a loving manner that are actually really very much against him, and he takes them personally, but he tries not to let it show. He tries to respond passively and aggressively back, and that's, I think, a very strong way of to kind of state their relationship. He thinks she's overprotective, and some other things. Now, he has created a little secret world in the house, that she and the rest of the staff who work for them are not a part of, in different places, literally and figuratively, as well as in his head. People that he's created, creatures that he's created. He has this little house and a garden that he loves going to this garden, even though there are these trees that have just common fruit, but they're kept from him like they were the most precious fruit ever. He has this actually really cool way of phrasing it, and that's really cleverly written. But they're kept away from him, and he doesn't like it because he can't eat of the fruit trees that are in the garden here in the house. But there's a little garden shed here that he likes to spend his time in with some of his imaginary adventures, and he also has his 2 secret hidden treasures here. One of them is a small hen that he raises, loves this little chick, and has named it, and just absolutely will just absolutely love this hen. He's able to show his love for this hen because he doesn't have an opportunity to show a lot of love as a 10-year-old boy. So this is an opportunity for him to do that. And then the other one is hidden farther back as a ferret, a polecat ferret in a cage. Now that scares him. But he loves it, and he considers it his most cherished possession, and they'll actually name it. The main character of the name of the story is actually the name of the ferret. And then that's it. I'll leave you there. Because again, it's like 3.5 pages long. It's 4 pages in the book, but it's going to be like 3.5 pages long. I read it for the first time just now, and it didn't even take me 15 minutes from start to finish. So it's a fast read, and so I'm not going to give you too long of a synopsis, but I do think there's these really nice, lush world building that happens. Great phraseology in a number of places. Saki is definitely somebody who's a good wordsmith, and you can tell. And also, again, does great scene building, great character building, creates some interesting tension in the relationship between these two people and their passive-aggressive natures towards each other, at least from what our main character, Conradin, thinks. But you get the idea. So take a look at it. I'll link it to you below. And again, it's a 4-page short story, so I don't know how much to kind of talk about. Saki was an interesting guy. He was born, like I said, in Southeast Asia, but he didn't live here his entire life. Many of his short stories will have a sort of mythological element to them or link to them. People aren't sure. He never said why he chose the pen name Saki. There are some people, I did some research, there's people out there who just were never sure what he was trying to do with that. Was he trying to take on some of that world's building of that area so that you would have it? Was it a character from one of the famous works of myths that were out there, and there are legendariums that are out there, or was it one of the words that means different things? What was he trying to get across? So we don't know. He never said this is the reason why, or I was naming myself after a person I met because I thought it was cool or mysterious. We just never found out why he chose that name. So, but there you are, Saki, a popular horror writer. You've probably seen at least in 1 or 2 of your horror collections, if you've picked up a number of horror collections and anthologies like I have. So there you are. Well, have you read this story? What did you think of it? I'm happy to engage with it further. Do you agree or disagree? It's not my favorite Saki story, but I do like it a lot. Let's take a look at another one that I like more, the Pan one. I like more. We'll take a look at that one here in just a little bit for you. But there it is for you. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'm happy to engage you more about the second half of the story and what happens. I'll try to keep my reviews and the synopses here spoiler light, but I'm happy to engage you with those spoilers in the comments below. And hey, if you watched this video and review and you enjoyed it, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button, because there's going to be so many more of these reviews of classics to follow, particularly horror, science fiction, and fantasy, which are my 3 passions, which this channel really sort of tries to unpack for you. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day. We all have such busy days, busy lives, and so many things happening. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's something very humbling, and I appreciate that. So thanks again, and have a good one.